Hello and welcome. Here are some impressions of our first stage from Almeria to Beneficio. First, we had to get out of this area around Almeria. It's used for industrial farming, and that's why it's full of these greenhouses, which are not the best surrounding for hiking. And also we had to walk on big streets for a long time, and Buro was afraid of cars that were passing from behind. Even though we got used to it quite fast. And yeah, after 2 days we could leave this area behind us. And yeah, then we saw this mirror, and it was super fascinating for Buro to see himself or to see another donkey. I don't know what he was thinking. And right after it, we met some real horses, which were also a super exciting event for him. For the night, I normally take a long rope and I stretch it between two trees, and I tie Buro up to this rope so he can walk along this and eat. But this night I left him free, and I woke up because right next to me he was eating half of my food out of the bag, even though it was closed. I don't know how he made it. And yeah, then we came to this beautiful lake. We were completely the only ones. There was nobody else around for the whole time of our stay. And I can imagine that it was the first time for Buro to see so much water at the same time. So I wanted to try out if he would follow me into the water. So I had an apple to make it more interesting for him. But yeah, it was completely not willing to touch the water. Yeah, and that's a lesson I also had to learn later on. In average, we walk about 15 kilometers per day, mostly in the morning because in the midday sun it's just way too hot to move much. So we do a break in this time, and then later on, depending on the place we are at and also on the motivation of me and mostly depending on the motivation of Buro, we then walk on in the evening or we just stay there for the night. And at this day, I came into a small village in the mountains to look for a water fountain, and there were some villagers super interested and super friendly, and they were giving me cold beer and some food, and that's actually something that happens quite often. Like as soon as you come into one of these small Spanish villages, yeah, you are the attraction number one, and people are coming, taking pictures, giving me food, and that's just something super nice, and I'm super thankful for it. And also because of these friendly and helpful people, this way of traveling is super cheap for me. The only thing I need to spend money on is food, and I only have to spend money on food for me because Buro almost eats everything that's green, so he finds what he needs in the nature, and at the moment it's a real abundance. Like everything is blooming, everything is green, so that's absolutely no problem. Also for me, I find a lot of food in the nature, like orange trees and lemon trees. You see them a lot here, and the figs are ripe soon, and also lots of almonds and olive trees where you can still eat the sun-dried olives from the last year. So yeah, with this and also the food I sometimes get from people, it's super cheap. I maybe spend like 2 or 3 euros a day, and that's it. In another small town, I met 3 girls that were volunteering at an eco village, kind of, and I spent some time with them, and they invited me for a super delicious dinner, which I could even more enjoy after not having a warm meal like this for some time. Since I am in the mountains, I am more or less following a long distance hiking trail going to Tarifa, but it's not current anymore. So it happens from time to time that it's just cut off by a river or completely overgrown by plants. And so in this case, we had to find a alternative way off-road back to some kind of street. And somehow we ended up in a horse fence with 2 huge horses, like twice the size of Burro, following us and even escaping out of their own fence after we went out. So I had to tie up Burro somewhere and then try to catch the horses again and put them back into their fence, which was, yeah, quite adventurous. Since a couple of days now, I am in Beneficio, which is probably the biggest and most popular hippie community in whole Spain. I would guess that there are like 300 to 400 people living here long term. And yeah, I met friends with a group of people who is also having 2 donkeys. So Burro finally got some donkey company, even though he had a hard time with socializing with them. Yeah, and also for me, it's super good to hand over some of the responsibility and to not be close to him all the time, because especially in the last days, I was feeling so much frustration and bad emotions against him that I seriously thought about quitting the whole journey. I just waited more than 2 hours until Burro crosses this little river. I even tried it with a stone bridge, and yeah, then I just decided to mind my own business and to start a little contest of who's more stubborn. And yeah, what should I say? I won. So yeah, there are lots of situations like this where you're just not moving, sometimes for hours, and with the sun burning, it just brings me to the end of the patience sometimes. Um, and also that I imagined Buru to be super happy with seeing new places and with having more movement. I more often have the feeling that he's signalizing me he's not interested in me and he's not interested in our trip. Sometimes it even feels like pulling a bad-mooded animal behind of me that would rather be in a cage and eat straw the whole day. Um, yeah, but of course that's not true. And yeah, since I'm here and since I also met the other donkeys, I understood that Burro just has a difficult character, probably also because of his past, and that it's just not showing interest also with the other donkeys or to me. And I guess that's something that I have to accept, and I also have to learn to be more patient. And with this, I'm quite optimistic that our relationship will develop in a good way in the future and that we will have a nice trip to Portugal.